Hey guys, Dr. Anthony Davis from the Davis Medical Group in East Texas, and today we're going to talk about sleep. We all know we wish we had more of it, but how much should you really get? What keeps you from sleeping? What are the hormonal things that go on in your brain that affects your sleep? Pay attention for more. If you like this video, give me one of these, some of these right here. You'll notice down here at the bottom of the screen, there's a button for subscribing. It'll be there the whole time. Please click it and subscribe to this channel and get your wife, your kids, your family, your spouses, everybody to subscribe. I appreciate it. Stay tuned for more about sleep. All right, so sleep is like most of our other body functions that we really need to think about how the human body developed and how much sleep that it needs, right? So if you think about sleep now versus sleep a million years ago, so if you were a human and you were trying to sleep a million years ago, what would trigger sleep? Sunset, right? You didn't have flashlights, you didn't have headlights, you didn't have artificial lights. If the sun went down, you went to sleep, and that was a good thing. It didn't bother you because that was what's supposed to happen. And what triggered you to wake up in the morning? Sunrise. So guess what? The sun is supposed to determine when you go to sleep and when you get up. That's what humans have done for millions and millions of years. So we have artificially changed, like we've artificially changed everything else, and only to our detriment when it comes to our overall quality of health. Our bodies were designed to run in that environment, and yet we run it in this environment. And we wonder why we're all out of shape and unhealthy and unwell, and we don't look good, and we don't feel good, and we can't sleep, and why we're so freaking stressed. All right, so the circadian rhythm, and that's the rhythm that you go to sleep and wake, sleep, wake, sleep, wake. Why do we have a sleep cycle? Why can't we just stay awake and keep on going? Well, because some things have to happen. It's almost like I used to work at Walmart. Now, I'm going to age myself here a little bit, but when I worked at Walmart, it would close at 10 o'clock. And then we'd have a whole bunch of people come in and stock the shelves and clean the floors and take care of stuff and wax the floors and clean up the parking lot. Why? Because there were no shoppers there. So you could take care of a lot of stuff that needed to occur inside the building so that you didn't have to deal with stuff that was occurring from outside of the building. So when you're awake, your brain is dealing with things from the external. And so the external stimuli is what it has to deal with. But that may trigger emotions or memories or problems that you need to deal with later on an internal basis. So at night, when you're asleep, your brain can deal with all the internal stuff. And so brain patterns and brain cleaning is very important. Also, you get injured during the day, but you don't have time to stop the machine. You can't turn the car off to fix something. You have to drive it till the end of the day, and then at night the repair crew come in and you have cellular regeneration and tissue repair. Growth hormone secretes, and a lot of things happen while you're sleeping, but it requires depth and quality of sleep to get there. Brainwave patterns fluctuate up and down. Your brain has to cycle through different patterns to get its continued health. You also have very crucial timings of hormone secretions in the morning and at night and while you're sleeping, and those hormone secretions are important for your wellness and your overall health, and all that occurs because of good quality sleep pattern. So equally important to how long you're sleeping is how good you're sleeping. So it's important to have high quality sleep. What does that require? It requires multiple things, but for sure, it must be dark. It must be dark. How dark? You should not be able to see the palm of your hand in front of your face. Yeah, that dark. You ever been in that dark? That's how you should sleep every night. And if you can't get your room that dark for whatever reason, night lights or computer screens or windows, light coming in through the window, security lights or something, then you need to wear a mask. It needs to be pitch black. And that's important. It also needs to be cool. It needs to be cold and comfortable. And your bed needs to be comfortable. It needs to be something that you can sleep on and something that makes you feel good and cozy. You need a cozy den. You ever seen a dog get ready for bed? They work and work and work and work and work and work and work. And they dig and they dig and they run around in circles and they find the most comfortable place they can be. And they make sure that they're in a safe, comfortable, quiet environment. So why don't you just fall asleep during the day? Well, if your body's functioning normally, you won't fall asleep during the day because your body is in full speed and high gear. You have a lot of neurotransmitters floating around up there that make your body active, dopamine and norepinephrine and serotonin, and you're trying to be awake, you're trying to get stuff done. Well, what happens at night? When it gets dark, there's a very, very fascinating gland called the pineal gland. The pineal gland is back here in the back of the brain, and it actually holds on to the optic nerves, and the optic nerves carry visual senses as they come in through the brain to the back, and you make a mental picture of what's happening, and you can see based on the processing. Well, some of the signal is light signal, and so the pineal gland is your third eye. It's your day-night sensor. A lot of animals have that, but we do have that third eye. We have a pineal gland, and it holds onto your optic nerves like that. And when there's no more light, it senses that, and it starts taking the serotonin that's available and turning it into melatonin. That's where melatonin comes from. And so we make melatonin from serotonin, and our serotonin is what we have during the day to make us feel like everything's okay and calm and relaxed. And at night, melatonin is the neurotransmitter that goes up that make you feel sleepy. What does it do? It calms your rear end down. It makes you slow down. It makes your brain slow down. It makes your heart slow down. It makes your breathing slow down. It gets you ready and primed for sleep. What triggers it? Sunset, darkness. So how do you get it to go up? Darkness. If you have bright lights and you're taking melatonin, it's going to be mixed signals to the brain, and sleep will not necessarily come from just taking melatonin. You have to combine melatonin with a cold, comfortable, dark room, and then you can melatonin be a whole lot more successful. In fact, you might not even need it. Although many people are serotonin deficient because we don't live in a world where we're okay, and so we have boiled our serotonin off, and then there's no serotonin to make melatonin from, and so we live in a world with no melatonin, so we can't go to sleep, and no serotonin, so we can't feel calm, and that's where a lot of people live right now. So just to repeat that very important thing, and I'll show it here. The light goes down, the melatonin goes up. The melatonin goes up, the body slows down, and you fall asleep. So that's what's supposed to happen, and that's what should happen, and that's very, very important. So one of the big things that can get in the way of properly sleeping is something wrong with your body that affects sleep. And this brings up a very fascinating thing. We're going to talk about sleep apnea. Sleep apnea affects your sleep, and you don't get good quality sleep, and you don't get to go into those nice restorative rhythms of sleep where good things happen. So what happens with sleep apnea is every time your body tries to go into deep sleep, it suffocates. So it has to wake back up again. So you don't ever get deep non-REM sleep where you can get down into those deep stages of sleep where all the repair mechanisms occur. So you need to get tested for sleep apnea if you have any suspicion of sleep apnea. You know, when I studied medicine, we had a sleep lab where they did sleep study tests, and then that lab was mothballed. I mean, it was almost barely used. But then they invented a very fascinating thing called weight loss surgery. And everyone wanted to have weight loss surgery, but they couldn't afford it. So they wanted their insurance company to pay for weight loss surgery. But guess what? They won't. Unless you have a life-threatening condition. And morbid obesity is not the life-threatening condition at that time. It was sleep apnea. So if you could prove that you had morbid obesity that caused sleep apnea, then they would pay for this morbid obesity treatment. Well, here's a very fascinating thing that happened. We had it backwards. Turns out that when people went and got a sleep study and they found out they had horrible sleep apnea, and we put them on CPAP, continuous pressure blowing in their face, a lot of the times their metabolism got remarkably better. Why? Because they slept better. And when you sleep better, you have a better metabolism. So if you have a difficulty losing weight, if you have sleep apnea, if you snore, you're never going to lose the weight you should lose unless you have that looked at. So sleep disturbance messes up metabolism, very much so. You do not process carbohydrates the way you should. All right, so what are the rules? I'll give you 4 rules for better sleep. If you follow these, you'll go a long way to getting better sleep. What's the first rule? You need good habits. You need to try to go to sleep at the same time or near the same time most days. And you need to wake up at the same time as you do most days. I know this is very difficult when you work really weird hours like 12-hour nursing shifts and things like that can really mess yourself up. But that's what you choose to do. But it's going to really play havoc on your depth and quality of your day-to-day sleep. Number 2 is it needs to be a comfortable sleep environment. It needs to be the right temperature. It needs to be dark. It needs to be cool. It needs to be comfortable, comfortable sheets, comfortable mattress. It needs to be a place where you feel safe and comfortable. Number 3 is it needs to be dark. I know I mentioned that more than once. It's more than one rule, but if it's not dark, you're not going to sleep. You cannot create the melatonin surge and the hormone balance that you need for proper sleep. Wear a mask if you have to. Make it dark. You should not be able to see your hand in front of your face. It's very important. And finally, the 4th rule is avoid overstimulation within 2 hours of going to sleep. So gentle walking and strolling and walking the dog and playing a game and relaxing and doing yoga, all that stuff is great. What isn't great? Overstimulation, whether that's overeating, over exercising, doing things that get you all upset and worked up. Watching the news even can get you worked up. And so you got to get to a point where you avoid overstimulation within 2 hours of going to bed. And ideally, you go to bed on an empty, yes, I said empty stomach, right? Because food tends to distract your body from all of its natural functions. So an empty stomach would be very important. All right, so those are the 4 rules of sleep. Good habits, going to sleep, waking up, comfortable sleep environment, dark, and avoid overstimulation within 2 hours of going to bed. So that's the video today. If If you like it, give me one of these, hopefully making your life better. That's our goal. Better health, better wellness, better quality, and getting you further and further away from needing doctors, right? That'd be the ultimate goal. Subscribe. There's a button down here in the corner that you can click at any time during this video and any of the future videos to click on subscribe. We need subscribers. Get you, your spouse, your kids, your grandma, maybe even your dog has a YouTube account. Subscribe them to this channel. Have a great day. Dr. Davis, East Texas. Bye.